Hey, good morning. Good morning, US and Asia broker. It is Friday, so I wanted to, take the time from my working schedule to, share with you about the EB-5 program, right? A pathway to the, U.S. citizenship, and as you already know that. I came to the U.S. as an immigrant, as a refugee. That's where my father used to be in the U.S. military before 1975. So, I escaped Vietnam in 1989 and I went to China, stayed there for a year, and then I make my way to Hong Kong back in like 1989. So then moved to the Philippines. I stay in the Philippine PRPC. It called like refugee processing center and transit, right? So I got to Seattle in 1993. So always been the case that working on the real estate development and investment, and so this is topic is dearly to my heart, right? I wanted to share with you. So so the EB-5 program, I love to work with entrepreneur, right? I love to work with entrepreneur, the people that, like come to the US, whether it's gonna be in the different types of visa, right? I don't work with student visa, tourist visa, other type of visa, but investment visa, entrepreneur is the one that I love to work with, and so the F1 visa, for international student, that the one get, like for example right now in Seattle, Washington, at University of Washington, Seattle Central Community College, that's where I went, and Seattle University, we still have like above 30% plus is international student, right? So for those students that come into the U.S. through the F1 visa for student, then you are non-resident. When you come here, you go to school, and you apply for the school. If the school accepted you, then you can apply for the F1 visa. But then you have to pay tuition. You're probably gonna pay for like 3 times as much as the U.S. resident. I have two of my son is go to University of Washington with computer science, and I the one that paying for the student visa. I'm sorry to pay for the tuition, so I know how expensive it is to go to school. But the international student have to pay like for 3 times as much. So when you finish the the school, you have to find an employer that that can take you, so that you can validate your visa, right? Otherwise you have to go back to your own country, so that's going to be a challenge. So thinking about, like, if you were to help a client, right, and they have 2 children or 3 children that go into the school over here, anything, when you started the school, you starting with like ESL, English as a second language, all the way until to transfer to program and go to university. It's gonna take 5 to 6 years to get a bachelor degree, and I think the cost for the tuition, for the accommodation, right, and all that is just enormous. It's just a lot for the parent, to be able to invest and support your children to go to school in the U.S. So that student visa. So we can help. That's why we're talking about investment visa. That's a way that we can really get get a permanent visa and green card and U.S. citizenship, without have to go and find a company to sponsor, work for that company in order to, extending your visa, right? So, we talk a lot about, like I say, I mentioned about like E2 visa program. That's where you're gonna buy, that's where your investment funding, they're gonna invest into into the U.S. and you have to buy an existing business to keep the employment there, or you gonna create a new enterprise, new business in the U.S., or you expanding your business, in existing country where you were to expanding your business over to the U.S., right? So that's the E2 visa program. So we talk a lot about, like H1B, pretty challenging right now. Where I'm at in Seattle, Washington, we have a lot of H1B investor, a lot of those H1B, working for Microsoft, Amazon, right, Facebook, and so you got to, this is a different program, right? Yeah, this is a different program, but it's also very, very, very challenging right now too with the backlog and all that. So what I share with you is the EB-5 program, right? EB-5 program, so it's an employment-based program for entrepreneur, right? So the a little bit history about the EB-5 program is that EB-5 program is it's approved by the U.S. Congress back in 1993, right? So, but it's also administered by the USCIS, right, and Department of Homeland Security. So EB-5 program, I started the real estate in 1998, it's about 22 years ago. In 2005, 2006, I met a gentleman named Henry Lipman, in Seattle. He the owner of the American Life Regional Center. So that's how I exposed to the program. From there, I just able to help many investors to migrate to the U.S. under this investment-based visa program, right? So as you know, is that whether you enter the U.S. either through the L1, either through H1B, or either to E2, right, or even EB-5, which is being a passive investor. So it requires capital, it requires money to get into the U.S., right? So that's the reason why when I share with you in the past about be able to come up with the funding, and however you come up with the funding, and you're sitting where you are today and you're wondering, okay, if I'm going to get into the investment visa program, then set a plan for it, right? Work and save and invest, and accumulate money so that you can qualify and apply for the visa program. So that from the investor, right? So what about the provider, from the U.S., from the developer, from an investor, from a developer owner, right? Who wish to, if like developer like myself, if we do like $100 million deal, right? And we can go to any bank, where CMBS, Fannie Mac, bank, PE, private equity, right? We can get the debt, right? The senior debt all day long, whether it's gonna be depend to your net worth and your credit. You can get that all day long. You can get 70%, 75%, or some of the case like up to all the way to 85%. But then the catch here is that you need to get the equity, right? You need to get an equity, and so equity can come from the value of the land that you purchased, the value of the asset that you put in. But most of the builder, most of the investor in the U.S., and been through a lot of the ICSC convention, ULI, Master Builder Association, all the clients that we have across the country. Most of us, we wanted to invest as long as we be able to access into the equity, right? So this is a very creative program for developer, owner, and investor. And for those that wanted to, invest into that for those that want to invest into an EB-5 company, as a shareholder, right? So this is a good way to look at it. So in order for you to get a complete offering document for the project to raise the equity, then you need to have a uh, regional center to sponsor your project. So the project it could be apartment master plan developments. It could be a hotel, and could be an office building, and it could be anything. The federal government call this one like the federal government call this a JCE, right? Job creation enterprise. So then you need to have first you need to have in order to qualify to be an EB-5 project. You need to have a regional center approved by the federal government, USCIS, to sponsor your project, right? Otherwise, you would not qualify for it. So what is the regional center? Regional center is an entity that approved by the federal government, right? That be able to, creating, invest in creating jobs, right, for the local community. We own a regional center here in the state of Washington, so that we can be able to help other entrepreneur, other builder, other investor to sponsor the project for them, right? So then, if you're gonna get the complete offering document, then what do you need, right? So I shared with some of us in the past about the opportunity zoning, at a different class that we have a few months ago, but then it's just like the opportunity zoning. You first of all, the project have to locate it, your investment, right? Your investment, your project it got to locate within the TEA, right? Target unemployment area. So what is the TEA? TEA is the project located within the geographic area where the unemployment, and because of pandemics, because of the downturn of the in the market. So there's more TEA that qualify under this program. Now the TEA is the project is located where the unemployment is 150% more compared to the national average. So for example, if the unemployment area in one particular location is let's say it's 3%, right? But then the national average, let's say the national average is like national average would be like national average. You take in the area like the national average would be like like 7% unemployment, right? So the project have to be located 150% more compared to the national average, right? So then you have to bring in the professional that gonna come and supporting the project. The first on the list would be like immigration attorney, right? So like you wanted to make sure that the immigration attorney involved right at the beginning, that working directly with the security attorney. So you also need to have a business plan, right? You need to have a business plan, and then you also need to have the job creation economic, right? So I work in 14, 15 years ago. I met a gentleman named Paul Summer, and he's the professor at Seattle University. It's a great gentleman. He be able to produce so many economic report in plan model, right? That we can really work, and Paul still working, with me for over the years. So you need to have a business plan. You need to have the economic report, right? And other consultant that you can bring it in, right? So So then, the how long will it take to assemble a complete package so that you can ready to go on the market, and sell that to the investor, right? So then the business plan and economic report, the master of whole compliance, the economic impact with the job creation analysis, right? So then, the immigration legal component is really important for you at at an investor, to work with the very experienced attorney. You got two type of attorney, right? One attorney represent regional center. The other attorney is representing the investor, which we call like the I-526 investor, right? So the EB-5 project document review that gonna go through the petition of the kind of technical, right, and legal. So I-526 is a petition for the beginner, and then the project documentation would be like I-924, right? So, and then also security component, what the investor, what the company gonna need, right, is the the feasibility study of the project. Make sure the project is sound. Make sure the project is make sure the project is good with all the legal, construction, finance documentation is there, and then the budget for the for the project up to date. Also get into the financial pro forma for the project, and it's got a financial picture of the project. We also wanted to know, the market comparative market analysis, right? Or we call, in residential we call like, CMA, comparative market analysis report, or or the market study, right? Economic report. So the documentation for the I-526 investor, then that could be an offering memorandum, the whether the JCE, the company that run the project, that gonna be able to what kind of model are we doing, right? Whether it's a loan model, whether it's gonna be an equity model, right? So all the legal component like that. So I mean, like, very quickly, I don't want to go into so much legal. We have a degree camp that where we spend the whole 2 days, to run through the legal contract, offering document and all that, with the investor. So that's one of the A degree camp that we're providing for the investor, right? So then I'm switching back and talk about the I-526, the end user, the investor, right? For the entrepreneur that wanted to come to the U.S. Okay, so why it is that you have to invest through a licensed regional center, and because the reason is that it is very fast. You become a passive investor. You don't have to do anything. All you need to do is just buy into share, or loan financing through a approved regional center project, right? Versus the other program that you have to be actively fighting the job in order to validate your visa, or you have to create an enterprise, creating the job, and then you have to be the one to directly manage the enterprise that creating the job. What if your business doesn't work out? Then the business is going to go south, right? So what happened to the job creation then? So 94% of the people invest into the employment-based visa program is invest through a licensed regional center, right? You become a passive investor. So you don't need to create, I wrote down here that, yes, you don't need to create your own business. It's a big deal. I am an immigrant myself, right? And I came from Vietnam, like that I share with you. But to come to the U.S., creating your own business and run your business and create 10 jobs, it's very challenging, right? So it's almost like impossible for the foreign entrepreneur to come to the U.S. and do that. So the net thing that I wrote down is that, yes, the investment will be returned to you within 5 years. So whatever the loan document stated, right? So the money returned back to you together with the interest or the profit, right? Depend to the exit of the investment. So the investment through a licensed regional center is also have the benefit, right? So I first is that you have to be able to provide the legitimate sources of the money, where the money coming from. I understand, like people, for a lot of broker that we work with in China, right? A lot of broker that we work with in Vietnam, because we coming from the single party government, like one party government, the communist party, right? So, sometimes you're not gonna be able to prove where the money come from. And then, I used to live in Vietnam and I used to live in China. So, like the source of money is not clear where that money coming from. But with the US government, you have to prove to the very legitimate source of fund where that coming from. Make sure that not gonna come in from like drug, dealing or any illegal, right? So the integrity of the program is the highest, right? So I just want to for you to know that, right? So when you invested in the deal, right? In Seattle, we have over like closer to like $3 billion EB-5 investment in Seattle. Matter of fact, last week I met with my ex-boss, from regional center, right? So he alone about $1.3 billion with 56 deals that located in the Sodo, Seattle area, right? So if you invested in the deal in Seattle, right, as an entrepreneur, you can live anywhere in the U.S. You can live in Florida. You can live in. I'm talking to another client of mine in Puerto Rico. You can live in Puerto Rico, California, Hawaii. Doesn't matter. But you can live in the U.S. right with the employment-based visa. So now the investor, husband, wife, spouse, and children under the 21 year of age will be eligible to receive the green card, right? So, I know their EB-5 program, it started in 1993, but it's very popular in the late 90s, in UK, right, United Kingdom, but then it get more and more people to know in Japan and in South Korea, right? So as you can see, like a lot of people coming from Seattle area, like from Korea, they live in Federal Way in the South Seattle, for example, right, or in Edmond, right? But then during the downturn of the real estate and financial market, the crisis of the market in 1998, 99, 2010. The EB-5 program is shifted to China. That's where more and more Chinese investors learn about this program, right? So soon enough, you're gonna see like we have like 10,000 visa, but Chinese investor already took on more than 80% of total investment visa, right? And that's when the U.S. Congress create the backlog, which is dividing program into each country. You can only have so much number of visa that you can go, right? So that's why it put the backlog for China way much. The waiting time of that is much longer, right? So that about the investment through the regional center program. Like I say, I love real estate. I work with entrepreneur, and this is I created the regional center program. It's the largest regional center in the Western Washington area, right? And also very active, to working with you as a broker, and and so that you can, like me, you wanted to come to the U.S., for a lot of reasons, right? So the U.S. is the place that people wanted to go, whether for education, for the democracy here, and and for any reason that would come to the U.S. My son, two of my son, Alan Lai and Alex Lai, he's a student from University of Washington, that will be graduate in May of 2021, and I have dinner with them yesterday, and they share with me and say, Dad, when I graduate with a computer science degree, I have a potential to make 100K at a salary, right? I mean, of course, that's why the real estate market in Seattle is booming, because of the tech industry and the high income and no stake income here too, right? So that's even better, right? So, but then if I were to compare that to an engineer, software engineer in Vietnam, a software engineer in South Korea, and a software engineer like Chase, my friend from school, that he's in Taiwan, right? So the opportunity to make quadruple of income by investing in education in the U.S., getting U.S. degree. So I don't know what is the reason and motivation for you, and to make a move, to migrate, to find a better place to live, right? U.S. still a place to go, right? So I create a regional center, and all the service focused for the individual investor. And what I think is that what I wanted to help with the investor is we wanted to provide the better return on the investment deal, right? And then also services that we can provide into investor. So we're really getting to know investor, that you broker in China, in Vietnam, right, in South Korea, in Japan, in Taiwan. When you're working with us, we providing the best service, the 5-star service for your client, and that's the promise from me, from the principal of the regional center, right? So whatever the need, whatever the objective of your investor, we'll make sure that we understand that. We'll work with them. We work with them to achieve their goal, right? So, the money that we're raising through the employment-based program, we invest into like Seattle modern living, residential real estate, right? Or some of this one going to be like apartment, right? Fantastic real estate program, invest through a approved regional center. So the net point I wanted to share with you, right? What would be the timeline, to invest into the EB-5 investment program, right? I wake up yesterday and I look at the meeting between the U.S. U.S. Secretary of State, the new administration, and the Chinese counterpart, that meeting in Anchorage, Alaska right now. The meeting is pretty heated, right? And it didn't go very well. So hopefully today the meeting is going to be better. But I do think that for those that coming from between China and the U.S., the relationship has been very rockery, right? It's very tough relationship between the two countries. So we can only hope for a better relationship in the very near future, right? So don't want it to get in so much into politics, but always the case that that a lot of people from Hong Kong, from mainland, a lot of you guys are the broker, that wanted to find a way to migrate to the U.S., and so what would be the timeline for the investment program in the EB-5 program, right? So well, first of all, when you so let's say that you contacted us, right, in our office in Vietnam, or our office in the U.S., right? So then we're gonna present to you an offering document, right? The EB-5 complete package, the one that I shared with you earlier in the program today, right? So you make sure that the project is legitimate. You make sure that all the due diligence component is there. Make sure that the project is profitable, good project in the location, right? And you make sure that the principal is good, and the general contractor to build the project is good, and you make sure that the senior debt on the project is good, it's ready to go, and then all the equity, and you look at the whole 9 yards, it's a good project, and you like Seattle, And then you like Seattle because you see that, okay, over here you got all the high tech companies here, like Amazon, Microsoft, Boeing, Costco, right? And then you got the the more tech company coming to the area. So let's say you approve the project, you approve the documentation, then you go into what it called like the private the PPM, right? The private placement memorandum, right? You sign it and you return the document to the to your own lawyer, or some of the case we can recommend for you a great lawyer. You definitely don't want to work with. You want to work with the best lawyer that you can. Okay, so that you don't want to go cheap into hiring a mediocre lawyer, the one that have to have a track record that can help in you, right? So then within the first 30-day period, then you're gonna have to sign accept. You accepting the investment, right? The next step would be like preparing. So your attorney, after you accept the regional center and the offering document, right? And then your application, your attorney gonna helping you to preparing the petition, right? And then before they preparing the I-526 petition, well, they have to look at the proof of fund, make sure that the proof of fund is legitimate and clean and clear, right? Otherwise, you send that to the USCIS, the U.S. government, they rejected you outright, right? So, so it's gonna take the investor application prepare and send to the U.S. government. It's gonna be 30 day, 50 day, or 90 day. It just depends. I know that we've been through a historic backlog and slowdown where immigration policy it's been attacked by number of factors in the US, right? But it is better now, right? And I remember that this under the previous administration, that when under President George W. Bush 8 years, and then under President Bill Clinton for 8 years, and under President Obama for 8 years, right? And there were flowing of the investor and the foreign direct investment into the U.S. in a very large number that create a lot of job employment opportunity for the local community, right? So the process, the estimated timeline for the investment program, the time is now, to act, right? To act on it. So so get into the program, get to know about it. We have a 2 days degree camp that it's located in Seattle, Washington, that we spend the whole 2 days to teach you, right? Whether you be a developer, investor, or want to get your project certified at an EB-5 approved project, or you are the broker, that representing the end user, representing your client, right? That wanted to invest and to migrate to the U.S. We're doing that, right? We're doing that in Seattle. So that watch out for our schedule, that coming up in this year, right? So the goal here is that to get the goal here is to get the developer and investor, and for those investors that want to invest as an American investor into EB-5 approved project, right? For you to understand it more, right? And then for the broker representing the end user and the investor in Asia, right? I'm talking about Asia because we are the USASIA regional center, right? So Asia is where, Asia, that's where home of 63% of the world population, right? So so it's huge. It's a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity to invest into Seattle modern living fund and regional center and migrate to the U.S., right? And then be able to accelerate your business in this by attending the 2-day degree camp that we have this year for you, right? So like I say, we here for you, that helping you to achieve your investment goal, right? And helping, for broker and partner, we wanted to help you to, take our system, take our project, take our idea, take our training, and take our coaching that helping you, to be able to produce, to helping your client and be able to producing more income for you, right? In today's market, and the opportunity is great. So with that, that's something that I wanted to share with you. This, I will be going so in depth about the detail, right, the process, right, of the investor, and then from the developer, or we call it JCE. We're gonna go so in depth at the degree camp. So make sure that you sign up and subscribe into our YouTube channel. Whenever we have new information, that you will be notified, right? And remember, learning is equal earning. The more you learn, the more you earn. So have a great one, and I'll see you at the next program.